Hey guys, Dustin here. Today I'm making a video about all of my video game pickups through October. Now, all of my game pickups either came from yard sales, garage sales, secondhand stores, pawn shops, thrift stores, places like that. Occasionally I'll pick up a thing from a used media store, maybe a GameStop, rarely, and I think actually one game came out of a Walmart. It was on clearance. I only got one portable game, and I'm going to go ahead and start with that and get that one out of the way. That was Lumines 2. I loved the first Lumines game, was really happy to pick this up from a pawn shop, I think it was. I picked up a copy of Super Mario Bros. 2 for the NES. I actually already have this. I've had a few copies of this throughout my life and managed to trade or sell, you know, my seconds. I don't tend to keep multiple copies of stuff around, but I got this real cheap. Kid Icarus, great game. Played it on emulators before, but I never actually had my own copy until now. Got that for a pretty good deal. Actually bought that together with Monster Party, and appropriately enough, I bought this from a pawn shop on Halloween, and it doesn't get more perfect than that, right? So, picked up Capcom's Aladdin for the Super NES. This is a great game, a great platformer. This, along with like Jungle Book and The Lion King and games like that. If you're from my generation, these games, these Capcom Disney titles were an absolute staple of a kid's library. So glad to finally have that again. I picked up True Crime: Streets of LA. As I understand it, kind of a Grand Theft Auto clone, I believe. Splinter Cell, absolutely seminal title for post Metal Gear Solid stealth games. I played a little bit of this. I believe I played the demo when it originally came out, and never actually ended up playing the full game. So now that I've got this, I'll give it a fair shake. Next up, also for Xbox, Celebrity Deathmatch. This is probably garbage, but I think I got it for 50 cents, so I own this now. Next up, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2X. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, arguably the best Tony Hawk game. Some people would argue that it's the best Tony Hawk game. Probably has a great soundtrack. I don't know if the soundtrack on this is new or different from the original version of this game. Backyard Wrestling 2, there goes the neighborhood. And I mean, obviously I have this because I'm down with the clown. Siren for PlayStation 2. Picked this up from Craigslist, I believe, and a lot with a couple of other things that I'll show you. But yeah, this is obviously a survival horror game. Actually have the Japanese version of this behind me, so this is my second copy of this, but I'll be happy to play this in English since playing games in Japanese feels like homework, to be honest. Next up, Neo Contra for PlayStation 2. I have not played this one. I understand this is a 3D Contra. And I don't know how successful that will actually be in practice. So we'll try this out. I'm a big fan of the Contra series. I'm not very good at the Contra games. I'm not very good at you know those kind of run and gun, you know, one hit kill kind of games. But I will be excited to try this out. I think the cover is excellent. I love this artwork on the cover. Here is Contra Shattered Soldier, which is like a 2.5D game. So I think it's on a 2D plane, but everything is rendered in 3D. I imagine that's probably more successful than a full-on 3D Contra game, but we'll see. I'll compare and contrast, and that might actually be a video in the future of who does Contra better, Contra Shattered Soldier or Neo Contra. Sonic Adventure DX Director's Cut. I know Sonic, the 3D Sonic games, get some crap, and probably rightfully so, because most of them are crap. But this one I like a lot, and I never played it on the GameCube. I played it on the Dreamcast, so hopefully some of the problems with the Dreamcast version they've fixed in the GameCube version. I don't know a whole lot about this, but I am happy to play this and kind of see what they've done to the game, because I did enjoy the Dreamcast version. And you know, staying with the theme, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. I never played Sonic Adventure 2 for the Dreamcast, but I know people who say that, you know, it's as good or better than the first one. I don't know if that will hold true for the GameCube port. Got Mario Party 4 and 6. Got these both off of Craigslist from one seller that was offloading some stuff. But yeah, I haven't played a ton of the Mario Party games. I played the first one and probably the second one, and then maybe, I'm not even sure which ones I've played here or there at like parties and friends' houses and stuff like that. Moving on to another generation, we have Puzzle Kingdoms. I really liked Puzzle Quest. I played it on DS, I think. Bust and Move Bash, kind of, I guess, similar to Puzzle Kingdom. We've got two kind of action puzzlers here. Next up, Punch Out, which is in pretty rough shape. You can see some sticker residue on it, but it seems like a great console for a Punch Out game with the motion controls and stuff like that. And I really enjoy the boxing game in Wii Sports, so this just seems kind of like a natural extension of that. So, yeah. I got Journey Collector's Edition, and as you can see, I've already reversed the cover. This is actually Journey, Flower, and Flow, which are 3 games from that game company, all in one package together. This is the game that I picked up at Walmart, and it was not priced at all, so I got a price check on it. It was on clearance for $7, and I was like, well, you can't beat that. So I got Journey, Flower, and Flow for $7 physical, so that's really exciting. Next up, Dungeon Siege 3. My wife and I really love co-op dungeon crawler games, like Diablo's the obvious go-to. We love Diablo 3, and then games like, of course, going back to the PS2, Champions of Norath and its sequel and things like that. So, and of course the Sacred games. So yeah, Dungeon Siege 3. I've never played a Dungeon Siege before, but this one looks pretty fun. Kung Fu Rider. I got this for real cheap, and I did not see that you have to have the PlayStation Move to play this. I don't have a PlayStation Move, but I got it because it looked real wacky, and I like real wacky stuff. Resistance 2, I have the first Resistance game, played some of it. I understand the second one improves on a lot of the problems of the first game, it being a release title for the PS3. Next up, I have Shadows of the Damned, which is a Suda51 trip. Kind of like, it's like a Spike Lee joint. Is he one of those guys that does that? I never heard of this before, and I picked it up off a shelf at a pawn shop and saw that it was by Suda51, and I'm like, well, can't beat this pawn shop price for a Suda51 game. So I picked it up, and I will be happy to try that out. Dark Void, I think I picked this up at the same pawn shop that I got Shadows of the Damned. Next up, Assassin's Creed 3. This is one of the Assassin's Creed games that I was actually really looking forward to. I'm not a huge fan of the series. I've played the first one, and I played some of the second one. I really enjoyed what I played of both of those games. And the third one was one that I was really looking forward to when it was coming out, because particularly of the setting. But then once it came out, I didn't buy it new because I could wait, and then I heard that it wasn't great. So I kept putting it off, and I never got it until now. And now I have it, and I can give it a shot, and I think it was worth the couple bucks that I paid for it, probably. Next up, Ratchet & Clank Future, Tools of Destruction. This was actually an upgrade from a really messed up copy that I had that didn't have the original case or anything like that, so I picked this up to kind of upgrade. Next up, Ratchet & Clank Future, A Crack in Time, which I've never owned and never played before, so that's really exciting to have that. So I've now got both Ratchet & Clank Future games, and that's really cool. Moving on to another console, Xbox 360, picked up Halo 3. Played through Halo 3 when it first came out, and probably traded the game off, but now I've got it again, and it'll be staying in my collection. Maybe the best Halo, besides ODST. I know that there's some argument there, but I really enjoyed Halo 3. Next up, Witcher 2, Assassins of Kings Enhanced Edition for Xbox 360. I've never been on the Witcher train. I have the Witcher 3, haven't started it yet, never played the Witcher 1, haven't played the Witcher 2, and this is me kind of working backwards. Own the Witcher 3, now I own the Witcher 2. I'm going to have to go and buy the Witcher, and then finally I can start the games. Next up, Silent Hill Downpour. I understand this is not a great Silent Hill game, but I am a big fan of the series, so I would like to have all of them in my collection at some point. So yeah, I'll give this a shot, but I don't expect to be super impressed by it. Next up is Alan Wake. Heard great things about this game when it came out, never got around to it. I understand there's an expansion or a sequel of some kind called An American Nightmare, The American Nightmare, which is also held in really high regard. I would like to play this, really like these kind of more story-driven psychological games, like Heavy Rain and things like that, so that's fun to have. Call of Duty 3, played through this when it came out. Not a huge Call of Duty guy, but it was cheap, so I decided to pick it up. I mean, these Call of Duty games they're fun, tight, fast-paced shooters, and sometimes you just want to relax with one of these, and so. Sneak King for the Xbox and Xbox 360. This was obviously a promotional item for Burger King. I think it was like $5 with a value meal when it came out, and you could pick between this and a couple of other Burger King related games. And this is the one that kind of went down in infamy as a stealth-based game where you're delivering hamburgers to hungry people. Yeah, I've never played any of these games, but I kind of picked this up based on its reputation alone, and it was super cheap. So Call of Duty World at War, this is one of the ones that I never played. I believe this is the game that introduced the zombie mode, and that's what I heard people talk about in this more than anything was the zombie mode. So I'll be happy to pop that in and give that a shot, Call of Duty World at War. And finally, Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City. Kind of a departure from the Resident Evil series. This is more of an action game, a over-the-shoulder third-person action game, which is kind of what they've all turned into, but I think this is even more so focused on the action elements and not so much the horror or suspense elements. But yeah, so that'll wrap it up for my October pickups video. I'll be making another one of these at the beginning of December for all the stuff that I picked up during November, so look out for that, and also look out for other content coming to the channel. I'm putting together some things and putting together some ideas for nicer videos and more structured videos, and not just, you know, vlogs like this, but maybe some more stuff like this will actually come along as well. Just keep your eye on the channel and we'll see where it goes. But until then, take care.